BBC News with Sue Montgomery. The White House has denied that President Biden has called for regime change in Russia in response to the invasion of Ukraine. Mr. Biden told an audience in the historic royal castle in the Polish capital Warsaw that President Putin was bent on violence. Sarah Smith reports.
President Biden is here to reassure Poland with his presence as well as his words that the US is committed to defend every inch of Polish territory in a country that feels under great threat from Russian aggression. He has emphasised America's commitment to NATO's Article 5, which states that an attack on one member is an attack on all, saying that is a sacred obligation which Poland can count on for your freedom and ours. This evening, Mr. Biden delivered a speech in Warsaw's historic royal palace.
For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power.
The White House clarified he was not talking about regime change, but saying Putin cannot be allowed to exercise power over his neighbours. The Kremlin responded, "It's up to the Russians to choose their own president."
The western Ukrainian city of Lviv has come under heavy rocket fire. The regional governor said 5 missile strikes hit a fuel depot and an industrial plant. From Lviv, here's Anna Foster.
This city has been largely quiet over the last few weeks, but in the late afternoon, 3 loud explosions rang out in the Lviv suburbs and thick black smoke clouded the sky. Several hours later, there were 3 more. The mayor confirmed 5 people were injured in the first strike, the target an oil storage facility. This attack in the west came just a day after Russia announced its new focus was the east of the country, but today's events in Lviv make it harder than ever to determine Russian intent here.
The mayor of Chernihiv says the northern Ukrainian city is now completely encircled by Russian forces and it's impossible to set up safe corridors or even evacuate the wounded. Vladislav Atrashenko said Russian troops had deliberately destroyed the bridge on the vital road to Kiev. President Zelensky has said the siege of Mariupol cannot be relieved without further deliveries of military equipment for Ukrainian forces. In a late-night video address, he said Russian planes could not be shot down with machine guns and armoured vehicles and aircraft were needed. 4,000 people from Mariupol have entered Ukrainian-controlled territory in the latest humanitarian evacuation convoy. The mayor of Slavutych, near the decommissioned nuclear plant at Chernobyl, says Russian troops have seized the town and occupied the hospital. In a Facebook video, the mayor said 3 people had been killed. Slavutych was built to house workers evacuated from Chernobyl after the nuclear disaster in 1986. World News from the BBC. The European Union Foreign Policy Chief, Josep Borrell, has said that a deal to revive the 2015 nuclear agreement with Iran could be reached within days. Talks have been taking place in Vienna for nearly a year. Mr. Borrell said obstacles had been surmounted.
Now we are very close to an agreement. And I hope it will be possible because now we are discussing about collateral issues that have nothing to do with the core of the nuclear deal. So I think I can bring a hope.
Earlier this week, one of the parties to the deal, Russia, said its concerns over a renewed agreement had been met. Iran has also said a deal is closer than ever, but said the lifting of sanctions on the country's Revolutionary Guards was a key part of the negotiations. Houthi rebels in Yemen say they are suspending missile and drone attacks in Saudi Arabia for 3 days. They also said they would stop their ground offensive in Yemen for the same period. The head of the Houthis' political office described the move as a sincere invitation to build trust. He said he hoped Saudi Arabia would respond by stopping airstrikes and lifting restrictions on ports. The people of Zimbabwe have voted in a series of elections seen as a test of strength for the newly formed opposition party, the Citizens Coalition for Change. The party, led by Nelson Chamisa, drew huge crowds to its rallies during the election campaign. But a BBC correspondent in Zimbabwe says turnout at polling stations was relatively low. The Danish footballer Christian Eriksen has scored on his first international appearance since suffering a heart attack on the pitch last year. The midfielder fired into the top corner barely 2 minutes after coming on as a substitute against the Netherlands. His return prompted huge cheers from the crowd in Amsterdam. BBC News.